there was reason for us to begin to have some relationship with each other than just that passing view of another animal in our territory. And so we began to utter sounds. And the earliest languages weren't even languages. They were just the utterances of indications. It was called indication, not communication. Indication, just utterances. And as you see a young child growing, a young child begins with utterances. Utterances are where mantras come from. Mantras are utterances of single syllables linked sometimes together, sometimes not, that direct energy within the immediate area. And when we're using mantras, we're directing energy within the immediate area of our physical body. It took 1,000,000 years of being with fire. First an inkling, then a longing, then an investigation that would start with just circumstance, happenstance. Someone would notice if a rock fell and struck another rock, it might create a spark. And maybe that would be an event that would take place every so often, and people, two-leggeds, would see it, would experience it, and over 10,000 years, over 100,000 years, over 500,000 years, it started to be retained and recalled. If it can happen out there, maybe it can happen right here. So 1,000,000 years after the use of fire, we learned to produce fire. And suddenly we were set free because we weren't bound to a location. We could take instruments, implements with us, and we could produce fire anywhere. And this gave us mobility, gave us some freedom. And that freedom began to also free up our throat and our voice. Because our world began to become more complex, because there was all of a sudden the idea of mobilization, migration. And so we began to add to the indications. We began to string indications or indicators together. And we began to produce communication. This was perhaps 250,000 years ago. We began to link little bits of indication together, and we would store something in memory. We would store indications and build communications, and then ultimately we would store communications.